Alright, today we're going to be solving some multi-step equations and inequalities. This is basically two-step equations which also include the inequality signs. So there are important things to remember. First thing, if there is a number directly next to parentheses, do the distributive property. It's important. Every time that you see that, always do the distributive property. Next thing, always simplify. Always simplify each side of the equation. Next thing, always move the variables to one side and the constants to the other. You learned this previously when we were doing two-step equations. Also, in the previous lesson, we learned if you multiply or divide by a negative in an inequality, you must flip the sign. So these four things to remember are important when it comes to multi-step equations that involve the equal sign and inequalities. Alright, so let's try this first one. If we have 7 times the quantity of x plus 2 is equal to 2 times the quantity of x plus 2, let's first simplify the left side of the equation. Since we have a number next to parentheses, automatically do the distributive property. So 7 times x is 7x, 7 times 2 is 14. Now the right side of the equation, we have 2 times the quantity of 2 times x, again the distributive property. So 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 2 is 4. Now we have 7x plus 14 is equal to 2x plus 4. With this, we've done it before, we're going to need to move the variables to one side and move the constants to the other. So if I want to move, the first thing, I like moving the variables to the left. So the variable is going to move over here. This is a positive 2x, so I'll do the opposite, which is a minus 2x, so subtract 2x to both sides. That leaves me with 5x plus 14, and all I have left on the right is 4. Now I need to move, since I moved the variables over to the left, I need to move the constants over to the right. So I must subtract 14 to both sides. All I have left on the left side is 5x. And 4 minus 14, remember it's 4 degrees outside and it drops 14 degrees. So that's going to be a negative 10. This is 5x, so that's 5 times x is equal to negative 10. So one way you can think about it is, what's the opposite of multiplication? It's division. So you would divide by 5 on both sides, and x is equal to negative 10 divided by 5, which is equal to negative 2. So negative 2 is our final answer. Now the next one over to the right, we have 5x plus 8 is greater than or equal to 3 times the quantity of x plus 6. So we must simplify 3 times the quantity of x plus 6. The left side is already simplified. So if we must do the distributive property. Let's rewrite everything. So we have 5x plus 8 is greater than or equal to, now what is 3 times x? 3x plus 3 times 6, which is 18. Now, let's move the variables over to one side. So subtract 3x from both sides. Rewrite the equation, so 5x minus 3x is equal to 2x. So we have 2x plus 8 is greater than or equal to 18. Now we must move the constant over to the right. So we'll subtract 8 from both sides. All we have on the left is 2x is greater than or equal to 18 minus 8 is 10. Now we just need x by itself. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. X is greater than or equal to 5. And this is our final answer. So now what I want you to do is to try this one yourself. Pause the video. Try it, unpause the video when you're ready to see what I have done. Alright, so the very first thing, we have 10x is less than or equal to 7 times the quantity of 2x minus 4. So the left side is already simplified. Let's simplify the right side. So it looks like we have a number next to parentheses, so we will do the distributive property. So I'll rewrite everything. So we have 10x is less than or equal to, now the distributive property, 7 times 2x is 14x. Bring down the minus sign. 7 times negative 4 is 28. Now we need to bring the variables all over to one side. I like the variables to the left. So this is a positive 14x, so I'll subtract 14x from both sides. 14x is crossed out. So 10x minus 14x is a negative 4x. Just bring down the less than or equal to sign, and all that we have left is, remember, think of this as a negative sign, even though it's minus, negative 28. Now we have negative 4 times x. The opposite of times x is divided by, so we must divide by negative 4 on both sides. So now we have x, and since we divided by a negative, what do we have to do with this sign? We must flip it. Flip the sign. So negative 28 divided by a negative 4 is a positive 7. So x is greater than or equal to 7. So there are a couple of special circumstances. This might be a little confusing at first, but I'm going to show you what I mean in the following examples. So if there is no solution, the answer is no solution. That's all that you have to put. Just put no solution. It happens when the sides cannot be equal. So for example, if you simplify all the way through, and if it comes up 3 is equal to 7. You see how these are definitely not equal to each other? So if they're not equal to each other, then the answer would be no solution. No solution. Now, if both sides of the equations are exactly the same or equal, the answer is all real numbers. So for example, if you end up with 3 is equal to 3, which yes, that's what it ends up with. So if that's the case, then our answer is all real numbers. Now this will make more sense in the following examples. So we have two examples here. We have 14 plus 8w is equal to 4 times the quantity of 8 plus 2w. So it looks like the left side, we have, this is simplified. Now the right side looks like we have to do the distributive property because there's a number right next to the parentheses. Always do the distributive property. So let's write down what we have on the left. 14 plus 8w is equal to, now 4 times 8 is 32, plus 4 times 2w is 8w. Now, I like to move all the variables off to the left, so move this 8w over here to the left. So we will subtract 8w, subtract 8w. So off to the right, this plus 8w minus 8w, these cancel out. Then we have this plus 8w minus 8w. Those cancel out as well. So all we have left is, on the left side is 14. All we have left on the right side is 32. Now, think about this. Does 14 equal 32? No, it does not. So our final answer is no solution. So what I want you to do, I want you to pause the video, try this one off to the right. The answer is not going to be no solution, it might be something else. So pause the video, try this one off to the right, and unpause it when you're ready to see what I've done. Okay, so we have 3 times the quantity of 1 plus 2x minus 5 is equal to 6x minus 2. So the very first thing, simplify both sides of the equation. If we have 3 times the quantity of 1 plus 2, distribute. Distributive property. Every time that you see a number next to parentheses. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 3 times 2x is 6x. And you bring down this minus 5 is equal to 6x minus 2. Now, are both sides simplified? Well, we have a constant, we have a number here of 3, and we have a number here, we have a term here of negative 5. We can combine these. If we combine a positive 3 and a negative 5, we get a negative 2. So if we combine the positive 3 and think of this as a negative 5, if we combine those, we get a negative 2. So bring down the plus 6x, rewrite everything, 6x minus 2. Alright, so let's start simplifying, or let's start moving the variables over to the right, or over to the left. So I will subtract 6x from the left, or from the right, and move it to the left. So when those cancel, and these also cancel because plus 6x and minus 6x, those cancel out, and all that we end up with is, on the left, is negative 2 is equal to, and this right here is also a negative 2. So, let's think. Does negative 2 equal negative 2? Yes, it does. So what's our answer? All real numbers. So a quick little wrap up. Remember, always simplify each side of the equation. Always, extremely important. If there's a number next to the parentheses, do the distributive property. Extremely important. What's very important and key, slow down. Take your time on the multi-step problems. This isn't a race right now. Just still slow down. Take your time.